Well, cool. I mean, you want to just get into it, or you want to?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. This is pretty casual. I'm pretty. Yeah, these are pretty just straightforward conversations. I don't want to have too much of a structure, so kind of just wing it. It's kind
Okay,
of how we like to roll.
sounds good.
So cool. Well, I'm Joe. It's nice to meet you, and I've followed you for a while. Actually, you are one of the first people I've actually, followed in this kind of community. So I'm, super happy that you reached out. And I kind
Oh,
of would just love to know, your story and how you got into film tourism and, what your favorite movies are and all that stuff. So,
sure. Well, I'm a big horror fan, and first filming location I ever visited was the Myers house from Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, back in 1999. I spent a semester in college. I went to school at upstate New York, and I
wait,
majored
where
in
at?
Ithaca College.
I'm from Rochester.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy. I almost
Yeah.
went there, actually. That's
Oh,
so
okay.
cool.
Yeah, it's funny. It was actually the last school I applied to. But they have a really good communications program, and I studied television production. And one of the big draws was you got to spend a semester in LA and take classes and do internships. So when I went out there, I think what kind of jump started is my friends. We went to Universal Studios and did like the backlot tour. They were pointing out like the Leave It to Beaver house and a bunch of things. And then I started thinking, I was like, God, I wonder where they filmed Halloween. And I was kind of naive. I'm like, oh, I guess somewhere in Illinois, like where it takes place, not even
Right.
realizing that it's obviously Southern California. So I went online and I think it was seenstars.com. I don't know if you've ever been on that
No.
website, but it must have been the first website dedicated to filming locations. So they had some information there. I mean, it's 1999, so not a whole lot was known, but really the big ones like the Myers house and the Strode house and the Doyle house. And so I dragged my friend out there one day, and I couldn't believe like I was standing there in front of this movie that I've had an obsession with for the last 6 years prior. And back then it's not as busy as it is now. They were kind of just doing I think planning the dig for the metro, and there wasn't anything. It was just kind of like on a dirt lot, really. And I just walked inside too. Like I don't think
No
you can do that
way.
nowadays.
I'm so
um,
jealous.
and I went upstairs, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Oh
Um,
my God. I'm so
so
jealous.
then I visited the Strode house and the Doyle house and the Wallace house, and I was lucky enough to see it before it was completely renovated. And I think the high school that was
Okay.
also known at the time. And then it wasn't. I didn't really do too much else until the first Halloween convention in 2003. Somebody had asked during the panel discussion for Halloween 2 where the hospital was. And they said, it's a couple of different hospitals, but the main one you see the exterior of was Veterans Hospital out in kind of the West Valley.
Mhm.
So the day after the convention, I went out there to see it, and they had done like a locations tour. And I had kind of made some like bad guesses, like where the alleyway was from Halloween 2. I thought it was
Okay.
the alleyway next to the Brackett house. So it's
Gotcha.
nice to have new locations to visit, because I moved out there in 2000, and I used to just go out to South Pasadena every once in a while to just walk around. So it was
Mhm.
nice to have some new places to go. And that kind of like jump started checking out some other locations like the Brady Bunch house and the Happy Days house and 90210. But I really didn't start like traveling to visit filming locations until 2011. I went to the Bay Area and visited the lighthouse from the fog, and
Oh,
then
so
up to
cool.
Bodega Bay for the birds.
Nice.
And then from there, 2015 was kind of when I started just traveling specifically to visit filming locations. And I had driven cross country 3 times, so I've been to almost all the states and kind of done all the touristy stuff. So it's not really weird for me to go to a city and not do anything related to the city and the
Sure.
filming locations, because like my friends and family would be like, "You're going there to do what? Like you're not you're not going to go see any sites. I'm like, I kind of, sometimes I'll save it for at night because I usually just dedicate daytime hours to visiting filming locations. So
Okay.
like if I'm in San Francisco, I'll go to like Fisherman's Wharf at night or something, but
Right.
I don't want to waste like daylight hours on that. So,
Right.
so yeah, so since 2015 is when I've kind of just started traveling and visiting filming locations. And then that's when I was trying to figure out like how I wanted to show all these photos. And first I was going to do just albums on Facebook, but then I was like, not all of my friends are into this. And actually I was just going to do horror movies at first. And then I was like, well, maybe Instagram, but I like to write. So I kind of wanted to, do like commentary and, synopsis and stuff. And Instagram really isn't the platform for that. So I found a couple other filming location blogs like, now Robert has setjetter.com, but he had movie locations and more at the time. And Paul at Then and Now, I said, oh, okay, I think this is the way to go. So that's when I just started posting. So yeah, now in my 7th year doing it, I guess, on the blog.
Wow.
So yeah. And it's great that, in the last couple of years alone, just meeting other people that are into this, sometimes even in person. It's really been amazing.
Yeah, that's
people understand what you're doing and not just like, why are you going there to take a picture of a house?
Right, totally. It's so weird sometimes because you're standing in front of a house and say it's not like a famous house, it's like a random movie that you just love. It's sometimes just weird because you're just standing taking pictures.
Yeah,
but there's something that it's undescribable to people that being in the same footsteps as these directors or actors, and you just like, I don't know, it's an undescribable feeling that you get. Like you were saying, the Myers house. I got that exact same feeling when I was there. I didn't get to go inside, unfortunately, but it was an amazing experience for me. And that's, to me, one of my favorites. So I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I was like, I'm sitting on the same stoop that Jamie Lee Curtis was sitting on waiting for a pump,
It's amazing. I feel you because I work in video production as well. I went to film school down in Savannah, Georgia. So I totally get, I feel like we're on the same page as that. And I get where your, interest coming from. And that's super cool. And I'm a huge horror fan as well. So I feel you. Cause like,
so are you more like 80s slasher films or,
I kind of go in between. I don't know. I love 80s slash, like Halloween, I think is my favorite. I went to the Halloween 40 convention before 2018 came out and it was amazing. Were you there? No way.
Did you do the
I did
tour?
The tour. I did it with Paul. I was with Paul.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Were you there?
I was one of the tour guides on one.
You were one of the tour guides. Okay. It's funny because, I talked to Robert a couple months back and he recognized my bracelet from one of my photos. And he's like, were you at the Halloween convention? I was like, yeah. Cause at that time that was about what? I don't even know when that was, but it was 18. Yeah. It was like early. I don't know, but it was my first convention and I loved it, but I didn't know anyone in the community at the time. And I was doing locations, but it wasn't like it is now, where I do trips and everything dedicated to it. It was just kind of like, oh, hey, I'm here. I'll take some photos. But now I'm super into it. And it's funny because talking to all these people, they were all at the event and it's like, it's so funny. I love the connections.
Yeah. But that was a cool opportunity. I don't really like talking like in front of people, but if it's filming locations and Halloween, I was like, all right.
And no one cares. I mean, everyone's gonna love it regardless. They're like, oh, cool. Like no one cares.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Like, meet a lot of the actors and do like autographs and pictures?
Yeah, I did a lot of it. I did the main people, obviously Nick Castle and Sheriff Brackett and everyone. And I'm an editor, so I was geeking out over like, the DP and everyone, but, it was awesome. It was super great convention. I was by myself, which was honestly kind of better just because, meeting so many people there who are just there for Halloween is such a cool thing. It's like, we're all here for Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. Like, it's so freaking cool. But, I think for me, like Halloween, I think is my favorite. I'm a big folk horror guy. So like a lot of 70s, Wicker Man, I think is one of my favorites of all time. Scream is up there. I just love, big fan. I love everything. I'm trying to branch out a little more, but folk horror and slashers are and I love paranormal stuff as well. So,
okay. Scream was one of my first trips. I went to Salt Lake for Halloween 4, 5, and 6.
Nice.
And then I went back to the Bay Area for Scream and then some locations from The Fog and The Birds that I didn't get the first time I was there.
Okay.
So, And then a couple years ago, I did that event at Stu's house where you got to.
Oh, you were there?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I met
gosh,
up with
okay.
Robert at Set Jetter. He actually stayed overnight. I just went for the day, but
Okay.
I was like, wow, that was incredible too. Because a lot of, especially with horror, you just don't get access to places a lot. You know,
No, not at all.
so yeah, that was cool. That was a great
That's
event.
so cool. Yeah, when we were I lived out in Portland for a few years,
Okay.
Oregon. And so one of my birthdays, a couple of my friends and I took a trip we flew to Sacramento and we got an Airbnb, and then we went to Sonoma County for some of the Scream locations, and then we went to Bodega Bay as well, and amazing.
Nice.
But we didn't get to go, we did the normal Scream locations, but we didn't go to Stu's house or anything. But I would love to get there at some point. How was that? Was it just crazy?
Before that, I just got like this kind of sad picture from the street, like, and it was the back of the house, it's like, well, I gotta get something,
Right.
So but yeah, hopefully they'll do another, because at the time they were advertising it as like one time only, but I think they've done another event since then. So maybe with the new Scream out,
yeah, you never know.
Interest. Did you see the new Scream?
I did. We saw it. Yep.
Did you like it? I did.
I really liked it.
I
had some issues with it, but I really liked it.
I liked it better than 4.
Agreed.
I had some issues with it, but it wasn't horrible. So
no,
I was kind of waiting, because my next trip I think will probably be to like Wilmington to do Halloween Kills, and I wanted to wait for Scream and some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff. So now that it's out, it'll probably be in. And I wanted to hit the House from the Strangers on the way.
Yes, that's one of my top.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain because it's just kind of like out in the middle of nowhere.
It's just like, far enough where you're like, but that would be so cool. I was actually, so my girlfriend's sister lives in Wilmington, so we've been a couple times.
Oh, okay.
So I got to hit a bunch there, which is awesome, like The Conjuring and Halloween Kills and everything. So I'm stoked to go back and do some Scream stuff and all the newer films, but and The Strangers, obviously. But
they're filming Halloween Ends in Savannah right now.
I saw that, and I'm going in March because I go every year St. Patrick's Day because it's such a big event there, and a lot of my college friends still live there, so it's kind of fun to go back. But nice. I was like, bummer. I wish they pushed filming back a little bit, because they probably will be done by the time I get there.
Well, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. It said March until March, so I don't know the end date, but I don't know. Might have a chance to.
I'm pretty excited for it, regardless. So, how did you feel about like Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018? I know it's a big question for a Halloween fan.
I actually liked Halloween Kills more than 2018. And not to say that I didn't really like 2018. I don't know. I didn't like that they took Halloween 2 and H2O, all those events away, and removing the brother sister. I thought it was kind of ridiculous for her to be in that state of mind for just what happened to her in the first one. Not that it wasn't horrible, but it didn't seem to warrant her current state of mind. But I did like, I certainly had some issues with Halloween Kills, but it's brutal. And I love the flashbacks. Those are amazing. Yes. And I was like, oh, maybe the whole movie should have just been like the flashbacks in 1978.
Totally.
I was glad to have, I thought, what's her name? Lindsay.
Kyle Richards.
I thought she did a great job for kind of being off the scene as far as acting wise. I enjoyed it. There's certainly far worse installments, in my opinion, in the franchise. So it's definitely, going upwards. So
totally
curious to see what they'll do with Ends.
I know.
So
I'm very curious. I do like these new set of characters. I will say, I like Allison. I like all the. I don't know, something about David Gordon Green's filmmaking I really like. It sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't within a Halloween film. Like I kind of like how he writes. It's almost more like not mumblecore, but it's kind of similar. It's almost just like it's almost raw. It doesn't feel scripted, which I kind of like. Well, sometimes, but for the most part, I kind of like how it doesn't feel too scripted. But yeah, every time I watch Halloween Kills, it gets better for me because like when I first saw it, I didn't hate it, but I don't know. The story was kind of all over the place for me, but
yeah, it was.
Yeah. But one of my friends described it. He was basically like, this is a movie for Halloween fans, which it really is. I mean, if you don't know Halloween, you're not going to understand a lot of the references.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that. Like Ryan Turek clearly was like, yeah, we got to put this in there. So I appreciate it for that aspect of it. And yeah, the flashbacks to me, I think were some of my favorite in the whole franchise. I think they captured that to a T. It was, the music, the
mask like that.
My God, it was amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And James Jude Courtney is fantastic.
I wish they kept the original ending. I thought that would have. And then there was one little scene where Lonnie sees Michael like by the bushes. I don't know if you saw that extra. Yes. I thought they should have kept that in too. But.
I agree. The more the better. I think it was a little too short for me. I could have actually benefited from being longer. But
are you a big Friday the 13th fan? Or?
Oh yeah, big Friday. I actually, for years I was trying to figure out. You have the big three. Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. For years I was like trying to contemplate which I liked better, and then I've come to realize Halloween is clearly my favorite. I actually have my poster from the convention there. I got my record. That's for the original soundtrack, but I have like Nick Castle. I actually have Dag Fark, young Michael Myers from Rob Zombies, Sheriff Brackett, and who else did I get to sign it? James Jude Courtney.
Oh, awesome.
So I could only hit them because I was a little busy, but it was great. But yeah, I was trying to figure out which I like. Halloween's clearly the favorite. And then I think Friday the 13th is my second favorite. Because I think for me, I think there's better in the Fridays franchise. I feel like there's better movies as a whole than the Nightmare. Like I like more of the Friday movies than I do in the Nightmare.
Yeah, same with me.
So, and Jason's just so fun. I mean, he's basically Michael, but so and I love the camp atmosphere.
Yeah. Have you visited any locations from there?
No, I want to go to Camp Crystal Lake so bad. But
okay, yeah. The tour is amazing. It took me a couple of the lotteries to get it, but when I finally got it, I'm like, I can't pass this up. So each time they offer one, I highly recommend going there. It's really well organized, and the people that do it, some of them work at the camp. I think some of them were there when it was filming. So like they're really into it. It's not just like some random person giving a tour where they're like giving you like wrong information. Right. So it's so creepy.
Is it?
Even in the daytime, I'm just like looking around.
Now, do they have things set up? Like, are the cabins set up and everything? Like, or is it like dressed kind of for the movie, or like kind of?
They have like a person at each cabin. Like you have a guide that takes you around the whole place, but then there's a person at each stop, and they had these like boards that had like a screenshot of one of the scenes that was filmed there.
Cool.
And like they had like a fake axe in Brenda's cabin kind of stuff. So, cool. So they do things like that. So it's a really good tour.
That's so cool. So have you been on any other tours like that? Like events?
Let's see. I think the only two. Oh, I did one of the onset cinema. When they did Scream 2, because I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and they filmed most of the college stuff here. I had done it on my own when I first moved here, but they said, we're going to see Sydney's dorm room. I was like, oh, that's cool. We ended up only seeing the outside. I thought we were going to see the inside, but they had a screening at night, and they let us in to use the bathroom. So I actually got to go inside and take a picture. I don't think it was the same floor that like when they're standing in the hallway, but it kind of like matched it. So it's like on a sheet so that was cool to meet other people that were, just all there for the same reason. I haven't done any others. I saw they're doing one of the Goonies, which is like one of my top on my list to do. And I heard that the new owner of the like the main house, Mikey's house, is much more welcoming to fans than the previous owner.
Yes, that's what I've heard.
So,
we used to live out in Portland. So when we were in Portland, we went out there. And that was the time where it was the previous owner who wasn't about people visiting. So I like got a picture, but it was like it wasn't even worth it. So I want to make a trip back at some point. I hope they do they're doing an onset cinema.
They're doing it at the bowling alley, I think.
Oh, right. I think I saw that. Yeah. That would be so cool. I would love to do that.
And then I saw a video on YouTube that the jail is actually like a museum.
It's like a film museum. It's super cool. We didn't get to tour it when we were there. I don't know if it was open or not, but we did the outside picture and everything. Yeah, it was super cool. And Stand By Me as well is out there,
Yep.
which we did a couple of
Kindergarten
those.
Cop. I love
Yeah,
that.
yep,
Video.
yep.
And
Free
I worked
Willy.
at Blockbuster Video for 3 years in
Oh,
college.
nice.
So I want to go to I know that's kind of like way out of the way,
It's in
but
Bend. Yep.
here in Oregon, might as well
It's
go.
100% worth it. We went. I would
Oh, you
definitely
did?
recommend it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I bought Annabelle Creation because it was like $5. I was like, I need to buy a DVD from the last Blockbuster,
yeah.
And David Sandberg, he like retweeted me and everything. It was super cool.
Oh,
But
nice.
yeah, it was. I would highly recommend it. We bought a couple shirts and you can get like some merch and stuff. And Bend is
Okay.
actually a beautiful town as well. So I definitely recommend going out there if you can.
Yeah, I definitely want to make that part of the trip, and The Shining, of course.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was so bummed because we went to Portland back this past October for Onset Cinema because they were screening it at the lodge,
Mhm.
And we went and the roads were so bad because it was like early mid-October. It was like when we were driving up and we were in like all-wheel drive, big truck, and it was like we were like, okay, we can do this, but Mount Hood is really steep.
Mhm.
And when we got to the top, it was already dark. It was like snowing, raining, and it was like in the single digits, and it was like really sketchy. And my
Oof.
brother had to flight out at like 10 a.m. the next morning because our plan was to just drive home to it back to our Airbnb after the movie. And it was just like we ended up turning around because it was so bad. We were like nervous that we wouldn't be able to make it back, or like we could have slept the night, but he probably would have missed his flight. So
Yeah.
but at least he got to see the outside of it because we
right.
used to go and kind of go inside a little bit. It was so fun, but yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Now, do you have any like bucket list locations that you've been dying to go to? I mean, you mentioned the Strangers.
Yeah. So Strangers, the Goonies. I want to go to Canada. I've been to visit, but not to do filming locations. So
Like Vancouver.
Vancouver. Yeah. I mean, that could probably like be a 10-day trip easy. And Toronto, like the prom, not Terror Train, Black Christmas, Urban Legend. May do that this year. They let us in. Yeah, and those are the big ones. I got to see the Friday the 13th Barn last year. That was number 2 on my list.
So cool.
And I'd love to get on the Warner Ranch lot, which you probably know all the good stuff that's on there, like the Griswold House, like that. I hear they're like tearing stuff down or selling it and not going to be around much longer. So that's number 1 on my list if I could somehow manage to get on there. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on that lot.
Oh, that'd have been so cool. Yeah, I've never been. I want to go to Universal really bad because I'm a big Hitchcock fan and Psycho.
Yeah,
the Psycho.
me too.
Oh, yeah, so good. The Birds, I think, was one of my favorites. Just to go into that schoolhouse and the Tides restaurant. And everything.
Oh, you went inside the schoolhouse?
No, we didn't go inside, unfortunately. But just being there was such a surreal experience. Yeah. And it looks perfect. Like it's great condition.
Yeah, I know.
But
yeah, I love Hitchcock too. I did some Vertigo locations.
Oh, cool.
And then when I was home for Christmas in New York, I went up to Connecticut where they did Strangers on a Train. I don't know if you saw it.
Sweet. Oh, I love that movie.
And then the building that kind of inspired the set for Rear Window in Manhattan, although I couldn't really get a picture of the back of the building, so it's kind of a nothing thing, but it was kind of cool to at least walk by the building that like inspired Rear Window. So that's in
Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was, I can't forget.
I would love to go there at some point.
Somewhere in like below Houston, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. It was a cold day, so
and New York City is a whole beast on its own too. It's
God,
you have to pick either a spot in New York City or like a movie. It's like you can't just do it all.
No, and I was living in New York when I started really doing this kind of hardcore, and I mean, I started down at Staten Island and I kind of just like worked my way north. It's like, I don't know how else to do this. And it just takes forever. And, you're like waiting for a subway train. And even back when I had like a huge to-do list, I would get out at a subway stop and there would only be like one filming location within walking distance. And I had to like walk back or walk to the next one, wait for the train. So now anytime I go home, which is usually just Christmas time, I'll go down New Year's Day as soon as I wake up because nobody's out. and it's a holiday, so
Oh,
parking
that's a good idea.
restrictions are there's no parking restrictions.
Right.
And I just go around like I had to get a shot for the Plaza Hotel, so I just like pulled up to the Plaza at like 8:30 on New Year's Day. There's nobody around. But that's kind of like the only way, because after, some of the earlier trips I took were to LA, and you just like, you're in South Pasadena and you get out and you see 20 locations in 5 minutes, and you just pull over and get out. And I was like kind of so spoiled by that when I went back to New York. I'm like, oh God. And like I got 4 locations done in 5 hours,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I was there recently.
Oh, you were?
I was in New York City recently. I did some Joker locations. I did some Cloverfield location. Cloverfield is one of my favorites. Yeah, that's one of my favorites of all time. I think it's found footage is a great subgenre for me.
Yeah, but that was such a cool trailer too. I was like, "What is this?"
Oh my God, I know. I was like, I haven't seen anything like that really since Blair Witch.
Yeah.
So, which is a whole. I mean, I did some Blair Witch as well over the summer.
Oh, okay,
so
nice.
I would love. I've only did the cemetery, but I would love to go back and do like the woods and everything.
Are you a Texas Chainsaw?
Oh yeah. I did some of that a few years back. Did the OG house and then like the 2003 house. Have you been to those?
Yeah, I did a Texas trip. I think it was 3 years ago. Actually met up with Paul from Then and Now.
Oh, great.
He took me to where the house originally was.
Oh, cool.
Which I probably wouldn't have gone to on my own. And then I went to the gas station. And then I drove out to the house, but it was, I ended up switching up my schedule, and I got there on a Monday or Tuesday, and they were both closed. So I couldn't go inside. I was like, eh. And it's such a long drive out to the house.
Right.
But at least like I got to see the house, and you can get that pivotal shot through the window, so it wasn't a total loss, but I do have to go back obviously to get to go inside.
Yeah, same here. I would love to go back because when I went, it was it's the restaurant now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was open, and I just kind of walked in and I was like, hey, can I just like walk around? So they let me kind of walk around. But I felt weird because people were just eating and I was like, I don't know. Then I went, there's like an upstairs area and they had like a band, and it's like kind of cool because it was like pretty it was like grungy. They had all this Texas Chainsaw like posters and memorabilia. And it was almost like the upstairs is like the Texas Chainsaw place and the downstairs is like the nice restaurant. So I thought that was kind of funny. I don't know if they still do that, but it was hilarious when I was there. But I would love to go back and do like a Myers house, or even just because I only got the one picture from the outside because I was like, I don't know, I felt weird. And it was like when I was starting to really get into this hobby. So I would love to go back at some point.
And then you're up north?
Yep. I'm in Minnesota. I'm St. Paul.
Okay. So you must have done some like Purple Rain and Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way, Mighty Ducks. Fargo's out here too.
Oh, Fargo. Okay.
Because the Coen brothers are from here. So a lot of Coen brothers stuff. I'm thinking about maybe going to, where was it? Somewhere in Iowa where the Children of the Corn was filmed. Because that's like 4 hours away from me. So I might do a weekend soon and do that. But I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
But that's something like I kind of, talking to people, as yourself and me, it's like, going to these locations, you kind of experience new places that you never would think you'd go to. Because like, first of all, Kingsland, Texas, where the Texas house is, I never would ever go there unless the house is there. So it's kind of cool that you get to experience these new spots, and you never know, you could find the place of your dreams. It's cool.
Right. Yeah. I did. I love Gone Girl. So I went to Missouri. I'd never go to Cape Girardeau where it was filmed, otherwise, or I went to Evansville, Illinois, where they filmed League of Their Own and Roseanne's houses. But I would probably never go there otherwise. No. But it's really cool to kind of get on the back roads and really see these like small towns that you otherwise just wouldn't see.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I would love to go to the Beetlejuice town as well. That would be
see, every time I go home, I try and do like a New England trip, but when it's like the holidays and then I worry about like snow and stuff, it's like I really got to do this like during the summer. So yeah, that's on the top of my list too. Beetlejuice.
That'd be so cool. Now, have you had any like bad or weird experiences while visiting locations?
Yeah. Really kind of just one. I was actually in Hawaii, visiting Mr. Miyagi's village from Karate Kid Part 2.
Oh, cool.
So when I got there, I could really only find like there was one article online of kind of cluing me in where it is, and they said there's a 7-Eleven where the village it was. So I parked at the 7-Eleven and I walked down one way, and there was just kind of like an open lot, and I could see like 2 shots that I can get. And then I was trying to figure out where kind of the main village part was. So I walked around to 7-Eleven, and then on the corner there was like a gate and there's a limo inside, and I'm like, oh, I wonder, I guess this is the spot, but this doesn't look promising. So I walked down the road a little bit, and I could just, there was just trees, and I said, I wonder if I could like peek through. And so I kind of climb up this little incline, and I move some branches, and I see like what I was hoping to see. And I start taking pictures, and like 5 seconds later, this car comes, like there's this little roadway inside, and this car comes and parks and starts yelling at me. He's like, get out of here. You can't take pictures. It's like, oh, shit. So I just took a bunch of pictures, and I start running back to the 7-Eleven, and he comes out of the compound and like stops in traffic and starts yelling at me like, you can't take pictures, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm a big Karate Kid 2 fan. And then he was like holding up traffic because it was just like a 1-lane road. So the people behind him started like honking, getting impatient. So he had to like go. So I just booked it back to the 7-Eleven and ran out of there. So I don't know if like somebody famous lives there, or if there was some sort of event going on and they thought I was like paparazzi or something. But I was like, all right, I don't need to, you know, like end up in like some woods somewhere, you know, in Hawaii. So that was a little scary. You know, I really don't trespass. I have like 2 or 3 locations I've kind of broken that rule for, but normally I just, you know, stay on the sidewalk. And
of course,
sometimes people will come out and be like, you know, what are you doing? And then you tell them, they're like, oh, okay, to the porch or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I really don't do that. But yeah, that was definitely the scariest experience. I'm trying to think if there's anything else kind of along those lines, but I think that was my one big like, okay.
that is strange. I mean, that would kind of throw me off a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm curious like what is going on in that little compound there.
Right.
You know.
Who knows? I guess we'll never know. It is kind of funny, like when when people come out and talk to you, you know, ask you questions like, what are you doing? And it's, you know, they start, you know, strike up a conversation, and they don't even know that things were filmed at their house or the building that they're at. I'm like when I went to the Sonoma County Community Center, you know, where the Scream High School was, I was taking photos and no one knew. They're like, what are you doing? And I was like, what? Oh, Scream was shot here. And they're like, oh cool.
Your claim to fame. You should know that. They should have like pictures on the wall, you know?
I know. I was like, oh my gosh.
But, yeah, because there's some like TV shows I'll kind of go like deep into and like do locations from multiple episodes. So there's a lot of times where people are like, it's, you know, it's not like the Brady Bunch house or something.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, your house was in an episode of Melrose Place. And they're like, oh, okay.
Right.
But yeah, you know, a lot of times, you know, people are, once they know you're not like weird or anything.
Right. It was funny talking to Robert, because he's like, yeah, I try to wear a shirt, you know, that corresponds with what I'm doing.
That's a smart
That's
move.
a good idea. Actually.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, like a Halloween shirt. Clearly for Halloween. So, but that's super cool.
Yeah, and then there's like the woman who owns the Strode House. She, you know, puts out the pumpkin, and the, you know, it's really nice when you get that kind of thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate when people are like that. You know, they kind of take advantage of, you know, owning that house. And you know, the new Home Alone owners as well, they just did that. They like, I think it was around Christmas time, they did like an Airbnb. They partnered with Airbnb, and it was like a 1 night, 2 night stay, I believe it was 1 or 2 nights. Wow. And it was like a, you know, it was the same thing. I don't know if you saw Stu's House did the same thing from Scream.
Oh, okay.
In like October, I think it was. And David Arquette.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. So I think more and more people, I think Airbnb is finally catching on. They're like, oh, people are into this. So I think that's kind of cool.
Pay big bucks for that.
They really will. I mean, I know I will. So
yeah,
but it's so cool. And I appreciate, you know, Myers House, you know, Kenny from Onset Cinema. I think it's super cool. And I love when people kind of embrace it. And, you know, it's crazy how big the community has. I don't know if it's been or it's gotten, you know, ever since I've been into it. And it's cool to meet people. And that's the great thing about the, you know, especially Instagram. And there's so many people I've just connected with, which is awesome. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. Just, you know, make friends, get a community.
And then people are, you know, doing YouTube videos now. It's not just photos. It's like really expanding. So I love it. Really cool.
It's so cool. And it's awesome because like these, I mean, hopefully they, you know, these places don't get like demolished or anything, but you know, it's cool to have. It's so sad.
I know.
It's like, Yeah, I'm hoping that, I don't know. It's cool to have other people experience the same experience that, we had going to these spots. It's fun to
Mhm.
be like, hey, go check this location out. I had a great time. Capture your photo. I don't know. That's kind of what I love about the community is that everyone's like super like helpful and
Mhm.
it's
Yeah, and then
awesome.
people, like sometimes people go when like the weather matches how it is in the movie, and then sometimes people
Right.
go and it's like completely opposite or completely different season, and you get
Yeah.
to see it like in a whole new light, which is cool too.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's super cool. So, but
Do you
it's
have it's a big to do list, but like what's aside from the strangers and stuff, what are your top locations
uh,
to visit?
let's see. I mean, Crystal Lake is huge for me. I think that's
Mm.
going to be up there. I really want to go to like Devil's Rejects locations. I'm a
Okay.
big Rob Zombie fan, unlike a lot of people. But um, yeah, I went to Salem a couple years ago around Halloween time,
Oh,
but it
nice.
was raining the whole time. So I didn't want to take pictures because I was like, I don't want to, it wouldn't look good. And I would just be, it was literally pouring rain the whole time. It wasn't just
Oh,
sprinkling, it was like downpouring. So I got a broomstick tattoo. I guess that kind of completed it. But I do want to go back to Salem and do the Hocus Pocus and Lords of Salem and all that. And then Vancouver as well is huge. I'm a big Goosebumps fan. I got my Goosebumps tattoo, so I would love to
okay.
go to the TV show locations, obviously, the it locations, Bates
Mm.
Motel locations.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many. Vancouver is huge. And then obviously Scotland. I want to go for the Wicker Man. I got a lot
Mhm.
of American Werewolf in London would be cool.
Yes, yes, that's a big one for me too.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been internationally?
No,
Okay.
not yet, but yeah, I got a little list. Another huge one. I'm a Madonna fan, not like Robert is,
Right, right, right.
but "Justify My Love" is my favorite Madonna song, and I want to go to the hotel where they filmed in Paris for the
Oh, it'd be so
video.
cool.
I know they like renovated the whole thing, but still, just to be in there, that's one of my big international ones.
Awesome.
Aside from American Werewolf in London.
Mhm. That'd be so cool. Yeah, I want to go, London especially. I mean, Hitchcock's house is there. Like that would be so
Mhm.
cool. And
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin. I'm a big Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton fan.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
oh, so cool. Yeah. So any of
Nice.
that. There's an endless list, which is good and bad at the same time. Because I'll never check everything off, but you always
Yeah,
have
I
something
know.
to do.
Like when I started, I keep like an Excel running database, and
Mhm.
I had like I think around 1,200, and I was like,
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
I guess this will eventually I'll catch up. And now I'm at like 4,500, and it just keeps growing. I just binge watched Dexter, The New
Oh,
Blood.
nice.
So that if I do that New England trip, I'll tack that on too. I really enjoyed it. So there's just always a new show or a new movie,
Mhm.
aside from all the 80s and 90s stuff that
Right.
I originally wanted to do. So
Mhm. Totally.
keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I went to school in Savannah and I got to Atlanta a couple times, but I want to go back and do like Prisoners and Stranger Things and there's
Yeah,
so much
there's
out
a
there.
lot. Are you a Cobra Kai fan or Ozark
Um,
too?
a little bit. Ozark, huge Ozark fan.
Okay.
So
Did you watch
yeah,
the new season yet?
I haven't watched the new one yet.
Oh, okay. I just did a bunch of research. So it's like 32 degrees today. But I think it's going to
Okay.
be 50 tomorrow. So I might go out and venture out tomorrow to do a few of those.
Awesome.
But yeah, there's a lot here. It's kind of they're spaced out a lot. I know when I first started Stranger Things, like I had to go like an hour and a half to like
Oh my
the
gosh.
school, and then I get in the car and like next destination is 45 minutes away. I was like, ugh.
Mhm.
A
It
lot of them
adds up.
are. There's no like South Pasadena where it's like Myers house,
Right, right.
So definitely give yourself a couple of days.
For sure. And I think that's something that we kind of want to like, hopefully help people with is kind of like, hey, this is an hour away or 3 hours away. And,
Yeah.
especially if things are under construction or not accessible or not available, like that's really good to know. Cause like if you drive 3 hours to go to a location and you can't even see it, like that
Well, I
sucks.
did that for the Strangers Pray at Night bridge.
Oh no.
It was like, oh, I could say maybe 2 hours outside of where the other locations were, and like the bridge was kind of just torn down. It was just like a road. I mean, you could still kind of make it out, but had I known that, I may not have, since it was like 3.5, 4 hours there and back.
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah, that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, like especially like New York location scaffolding, and I joke about that in my blog a
Yes.
lot. Like all the time. And even like if you see a Google Street View, sometimes it's, it's like in November, it'll not be on there. And then I go home at Christmas and it's covered in scaffolding. It's like,
Oh, it's such a pain. It's
yeah,
such a pain.
that'd be helpful. Yeah, I downloaded the app and I definitely will add some stuff for Atlanta area. But it's really cool to be like, people are welcoming here. This will take forever. Like Penny's Diner from Halloween 4, like that's a good half day trip, far from everything else. So it's good to know stuff like that.
100%. Sure. Yeah. And like, even just like, things down to safety, like I was talking to, do you know Ryan from Going to the Movies? Have you?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I actually met up with him at a Myers event, the Dark Knight one in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Really cool. So, but he was talking to me about, he went to a couple of the prisoners locations and he said some of it, was pretty sketchy. So that's something I would like to know, before going to some of these, like, how should I prepare? Should I, what time of day should I go? And, things like that.
That's a very good thing to know. Because there's sometimes where I just like roll down the window and take a picture as opposed to getting out.
Right. Which is a bummer because you want to get that shot.
I know. Yeah.
So it's pros and cons.
Yeah.
but cool. Well, sweet. I mean, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. It's been great chatting and I really appreciate your time here.
Always great to meet more people. If you're ever in the Atlanta area, let me know.
Definitely. Yeah.
If I'm ever up in St. Paul, although I don't know if I'll be there.
I know. I mean, why would you ever come?
I did stop one of my cross country trips. I was there and I went to the Mall of America.
You got to do that at least, But I was telling Robert too. I was like, you got to come visit and we grab a beer or something. And I would love to do a kind of a meetup with that.
That would be awesome.
That'd be so cool because I feel like I know people, but I've never met them in person. Mm-hmm. So
for sure,
that'd be awesome. So,
we'll think of something.
Sure. Well, sweet. I mean, cool. Well, thanks again, and I can't wait to see your future posts and following your blog and your Instagram, and I love it.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Keep it up.
Thank you very much. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, you as well. Well, cool. We'll be in touch then.
Okay, sounds good.
Man. All right, have a good day.
All right, bye.